After Oklahoma's governor commutes his death sentence. And the grilling gets underway for today's Badges and Burgers event in Pittsburgh. Also, how elephant dung is helping researchers get an accurate count of Africa's forest elephants.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The life of Oklahoma prisoner Julius Jones is spared just 4 hours before he was scheduled to be executed. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt commuted Jones's sentence to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Jones was sentenced to death nearly 20 years ago for murdering Paul Howell, but his family says eyewitness descriptions did not match him, and they claim he was at home at the time of the murder. Earlier this month, the state's Pardon and Parole Board recommended his death sentence be commuted, pointing to doubts about evidence in the case. And then yesterday, just hours before Jones was scheduled to be executed, Governor Kevin Stitt filed an executive order sparing his life with the condition that he shall never again be eligible to apply for, be considered for, or receive any additional commutation, pardon, or parole, meaning Jones will spend the rest of his life behind bars. Legal experts say it's an unusual move and question whether the governor has the constitutional power to limit the authority of a future pardon and parole board or future governor regarding commutations. Pittsburgh police and fire joined forces today for their annual Badges and Burgers event, and they're grilling up grub to raise money for the Children's Advocacy Center. KOAM's Michael Hayslip joins us at Fire Station number 1 with the details. Michael?
Tanya, thank you. Tanya, thank you very much. And I tell you, the amazing thing is the KOAM News at Noon, of course, minus last year, has consistently been out here for burgers and badges. And I want to reiterate what Tanya said earlier. All donations today going to the Children's Advocacy Center. And we're still going to be here until 1 o'clock. You can come either sit inside and eat, or you can order a little pickup. It all goes to a great cause. And for a menial cost of $5, you're going to end up with a cheeseburger, a drink, and some chips. You can grab it on the go and actually drive right through the fire station. We got the grill behind us right here. It's been busy all day long, and this event continues to grow exponentially each and every year. And I managed to wrangle one of the cooks in. His name is Reese Watson, but more importantly, he's not a cook. He's a Pittsburgh firefighter. Reese, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. You're relatively new here, 14 months. So last year you weren't a part of this event. What does it say to you when you see the amount of cars that have come through here to support the Children's Advocacy Center?
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's a great cause, and no, I mean, it shows a lot, and it shows the support of Pittsburgh.
What has it also meant to see the police and fire department come together? You guys are brothers in arms, yes, truly are. Yeah. But we also see a lot of charity events where you guys are pitted against each other, whether it be on the basketball court. But now it's been a straight collaborative effort for this.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, brothers. We're always supporting each other, and can't wait till we actually do our competition against each other.
Now, Reese is a Pittsburgh native, and it's interesting. I was talking a little bit about him, a little bit about his background and everything. And just tell us a little bit about this, Reese. Is firefighting. That's truly being a hero. That's saving lives. Is this something that you had in your mind that you were going to do when you were young? How'd this come to be?
This started when I was in college. I had a buddy of mine from high school who was a wrestler. He started here, and he told me all about it. And then when I started, it just became something I got slowly addicted to, and now I couldn't picture anything else. This is it.
I think that's amazing that you say that you couldn't picture anything else, because like I said, you guys define heroes. You guys are the ones running in while the rest of us are running out. And the fact that it's become a calling for you says a lot, and I want to thank you very much for your service, Reese.
Thank you.
Reese Watson of the Pittsburgh Fire Department. Now, once again, we're going to be here until 1 o'clock this afternoon. We're at Pittsburgh Station Fire number 1, supporting the Children's Advocacy Center. It's called Burgers and Badges. And here's why you should come see us. And like I said, if you want to drive through, you can do that, but come out and hang with me and Reese, because look at these temperatures that we're experiencing right now. You have to remember, early on this morning, we had dropped into the 20s. As we sit with some sunshine, we're actually seeing some temperatures creep into the 50s. And the SKYWATCH storm tracker showing us a little cloud coverage that's building up to the north and to the west. But that is not a bad thing. because what that's going to be able to do is actually trap in some of that heat. Look on the right-hand side of your screen. You'll notice those overnight lows, certainly not as cold as what we've had the past couple of nights, as we're able to hang in the 40s and a 7-day forecast that even means additional sunshine on Saturday. And that slight chance for rain that we're going to see on Sunday is going to be very, very minimal. You're going to have to actually be out on the eastern portion or far southern portion of southwest Missouri to even pick up any precipitation. So once again, we've got Reese here on the grill. Come join us. We're at Pittsburgh Fire Station #1, Burgers and Badges, supporting the Children's Advocacy Center for $5. We're going to get you a cheeseburger, a drink, and some chips, and we're going to be here until 1 o'clock. Tanya, coming up here in just a little bit, Reese told me I need to talk to his boss. So we're going to bring on Chief Dennis Riley from the Pittsburgh Fire Department as well.
All right, sounds good. We'll check back in with you later in the show, Michael. Well, cheers ring out from Democrats in the House after passing President Biden's signature social spending bill. Topping Nation Watch, the passage follows months of debate within the Democratic Party and fireworks overnight as House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy stalled the vote by speaking on the House floor for more than 8.5 hours. The roughly $1.75 trillion House bill includes funding for universal pre-K, child care, climate provisions, housing, health care, and paid leave. While today marks a major moment for Democratic leaders in the White House, they know a bigger battle lies ahead in the Senate without any GOP support. Democrats cannot afford to lose a single vote in the Senate. While jurors at Kyle Rittenhouse's murder trial continue deliberations, protesters for and against the 18-year-old defendant wait outside the Kenosha courthouse. Many will view the verdict in this highly charged case as a referendum on gun laws and the right to self-defense. Rittenhouse is on trial for killing 2 men and wounding a third with a rifle during a turbulent night of protests that erupted in Kenosha on the summer of 2020 after a black man, Jacob Blake, was shot by a white police officer. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at noon, we check in on the struggle to track the dwindling population of Africa's forest elephants. And later, we're making a Pilgrim corn souffle in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. The number of forest elephants in Africa has shrunk by 80% in the past 4 decades. The Central African country of Gabon is the last stronghold of the critically endangered animals. But counting the big beasts can be challenging. CBS's Ian Lee reports.
Researchers in Gabon have to get creative when tracking Africa's forest elephants.
They occur in smaller groups. They can be quite secretive for and quite quiet in the forest for such a large land mammal.
Plus, that large trunk is good for something.
Elephants have an excellent sense of smell, and they'll catch wind of you certainly if the wind is blowing in the right direction, long before you have any idea they're there.
But despite being hard to find, poaching still ravages the critically endangered animals.
Their ivory is so precious to these criminal groups. They're what goes first.
Loss of habitat is also a factor. Officials see thinner elephants today compared to 20 years ago. So to get an idea of how many remain, researchers got a little dirty.
The key thing for this method is the dung has to be fresh, so steaming fresh.
By extracting the DNA from the pachyderm's poop and analyzing thousands of samples, scientists can count the individual elephants. The good news from their study? About 60,000 live in Gabon, an increase of 50% since the 1990s. The bad news? The country is one of the animal's last safe havens.
Countries that have lost their elephants, have lost control of their natural resources, have often actually lost control of their countries.
And to make sure we don't lose Africa's forest elephants, conservationists say governments need to invest more to save their homes and their lives. Ian Lee, CBS News.
Still to come on the KOAM News at noon, badges and burgers.
Tanya, we're live at Pittsburgh Fire Station #1. Busy crowd behind us. We're still serving up food. We want you to come out and help us support the Children's Advocacy Center and to look at your 7-day forecast when we return right after this. It's good to be live here on the KOAM Morning News. Feels like we're back in action once again, and it's been an annual event for us to go live at the Burgers for Badges fundraiser. It's all for the Children's Advocacy Center. Chief Dennis Riley and I from the Pittsburgh Fire Department, we're here at Fire Station number 1. It's right off 4th Street in Pittsburgh. And for $5, you can drive right through, grab yourself a cheeseburger, chips, drink, and here's the great thing. With everybody still at hard work behind us, you can tell we're a long ways from over. We're going to be here all the way until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Maybe I can ask the chief to stay a little bit longer. It's for a great cause. Let's talk about that great cause, Chief Riley. How did the Pittsburgh Fire Department and Pittsburgh Police Department team up with the Children's Advocacy Center?
Well, I think that there's always a concern to be able to support children in need. It's just a natural fit for us. I mean, we deal with really tragic situations all the time, so this gives us an opportunity to support people before those type of events happen. So I think it's just a natural fit. I will say that our police department's really taken the lead on this project, and we're just very, very happy to partner and support them.
Exponentially, every year I've been out here, it continues to grow. What does that say about not only community support in the immediate area, but also through the entire 4 states?
Well, I think, people understand that, there are people in need. And I think that as we move into whatever the next phase of the pandemic is, people understand that there's a lot of people in need. And those of us who have the means and the ability are willing to come out and help. And that's what I think community is all about, and that's what makes this part of the country so special.
I'm going to come back to Chief Riley in just a second because we want to talk about something else that has recently happened here with 4 state firefighters. But before we do that, let's take a live look over 7th and Rangeline right now. While the Chief and I are in Pittsburgh, here's what it looks like in Joplin. Temperatures considerably better than what we had earlier this morning as we were down below the freezing mark. But now we're creeping up into the 40s and even throwing some 50s up on the board. And I tell you what, we're able to do that with a SKYWATCH storm tracker that actually has some cloud cover that's built in from the west and to the north. But here's the thing, that low pressure system that we see moving in, well, it actually is a whole bunch of dry Canadian air. And because that low pressure has pushed that high pressure off to the east, you can tell where the clouds are splitting it there by you get to the Mississippi. It's unable to allow any of that Gulf moisture to rise. And so that's why we're dry, and that's once again why we've been talking about that elevated fire risk, especially for the counties down to the south. Now, as we work into afternoon, we'll have temperatures that'll top out in the mid-50s. Not going to be too bad at all as the sun's able to penetrate our light cloud cover. And for those of you that are out and about this evening, a high school football forecast, or maybe you're just out with friends and family, absolutely delightful. Lows only in the 40s and actually able to hold on to above freezing temperatures. Now, as far as our futurecast goes for tomorrow, look at these afternoon Saturday temperatures up into the 60s, which leads us to a 7-day forecast that for the next 2 days will keep our overnight lows well above the freezing point. However, our next cold front will be upon us Sunday night into Monday morning. I want to come back and I want to finish off talking to Pittsburgh Fire Chief Dennis Riley. Chief, the loss of Lieutenant Malachi Brown of the Baxter Springs Fire Department. You have become such an advocate for safety and training for your department, for the 4 states, and for the nation, sir. For those of you who don't know, he travels nationwide talking about this. I'm sure that your crew, your firefighters, had a lot of questions coming off of this. What are some of the lessons that you've picked up through your experience and with the recent tragedy of Lieutenant Brown that you have passed along to them?
Well, I think, we're early into the incident. Certainly, we don't know all the details yet because it's just such a dynamic situation. But I think the takeaways are, number one, this is a dangerous business. Things can happen. You really never know what you're getting into until you're in the middle of it. And that underscores the need and the importance of good, hard, effective training. So that's one of the things that I think we should take away from this incident is, as I said, the need for good, effective training and just being prepared. I read things all the time. I talk to people on the national circuit, and we talk about risk and all this other type of stuff. And I think that preparation is an important part of it. How well can we prepare our people to deal with whatever may happen?
Chief, I want to thank you for your service to our community and the education. And also, too, you call it a dangerous business. We call you heroes because Lieutenant Brown was a hero. While everybody else is running out, You guys are running in to save other people. Thank you for your service, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Tanya, we're live from Pittsburgh Station number 1 for Burgers and Badges. Once again, we're here until 1 p.m.
Thank you so much, Michael. And I hate to cut you short, but I do have some breaking news I need to get to right now. Kyle Rittenhouse has just been cleared of all charges in the shootings that intensified debate over vigilantism, guns, and racial injustice. We'll have more on this story tonight, of course, on KOAM News at 5. And you can go to our website for the latest details on the trial, KOAMnewsnow.com. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Staff Sergeant Edward Burke in the U.S. Army. Elsmore, Kansas native, joined the military in 1942. He was stationed in Brazil and received both the American Theater Ribbon and the Good Conduct Medal. To Staff Sergeant Edward Burke, we thank you, our four-state hero. Today we give a nod back to the first Thanksgiving with a recipe so tasty you'll be counting your blessings. Howard shows us how to make his Pilgrim corn souffle in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
If we were to look back at what was served at the first Thanksgiving in 1621, we'd find a completely different spread than what most of us serve today. Back then, you could count on there being some kind of wild fowl and, of course, something made from corn. But rather than kernel corn, it was in the form of grain, which was likely made into bread or porridge. To make something a little more up to date, what do you say we add a corn souffle to this year's Turkey Day lineup? All we do is combine a couple cans of whole kernel corn, or you can use frozen if you prefer, along with some cream corn, a bit of sugar, flour, milk, and a few beaten eggs. After mixing everything together, we pour it into a baking dish and pop it in the oven. This is a whole lot easier than what the Pilgrims had to do. Thanks to our supermarket shortcuts, we can throw this together in just minutes. When your souffle is all done and sitting next to all the other holiday go-alongs, get ready for lots of oohs and ahs. It's no wonder that a side dish like this has stood the test of time. To get this easy-peasy recipe for what we call Pilgrim corn souffle, check out our website. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found an updated classic way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
And we'll be right back.
Here's what's coming up on KOAM News at 5. The popularity of electric cars is growing. This week, the Los Angeles Auto Show is putting electric cars on center stage with a number of companies releasing brand new models. Plus, as temperatures drop, heating costs rise. We're going to speak with local gas companies about supply and demand and reasons behind increased costs. And Southeast Kansas students put together raised garden beds for the Arma Community Garden. The latest on that, also, of course, a reaction to the acquittal today of Kyle Rittenhouse, found not guilty on all charges. That's all coming up on KOAM News at 5.
I'm sure there'll be a lot more along with that story.
For sure.
All right, thanks, Dal. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.